I've got a confession to make.
I need to get this off my chest. As a business owner, we all make mistakes.
I've got to confess.
And welcome to episode 10, Kim Barrett. That's right. Let's get those hands. Spirit fingers, everyone. Spirit fingers. Oh, man, what a journey. At one point, it seemed like we might not even make it to episode 10. And now we're well and truly in flow. So how have you found the podcasting experience?
Oh, man, it's great. We're cooking with gas. Obviously, it's helpful that we don't have to figure out any of the back-end configuration because of your awesome team. I feel like if I had to do that, we would be at episode 1.5 only. But considering that we just have to record and drop it, then it's so good.
Well, I must admit that's the same. And I can see how so many people would want to do a podcast and then never actually happen, because it's actually hard work. Like, there's a lot of moving parts in getting a podcast live. It's not just recording it. You've really got to be on top of, okay, it's got to be edited, it's got to be cut, it's got to be uploaded in the right places, the quality and sizing's got to be good, you've got to release it on social. There's a whole bunch of steps that go into making a great production team. And I'll go a step further, saying that is not a good use of either of our time to be focusing on that stuff when you do run a business.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the best use of our time at all. So it's great that we have the ability with your amazing team to kind of leverage that, because otherwise, I wouldn't even be out of the starting blocks.
So big shout out to my team. They know I love them. They've been doing an amazing job putting this all together. And thank you guys. Huge thank you. Now, what are we talking about today? I think, do you want to unveil or do you want me to unveil?
I'm happy to unveil. Today, we're doing a update on the year so far. Obviously, and purposefully, we've addressed some things. We've left a few little things open, and some of the most recent episodes, you would have got some of our tips and a little bit of back and forth on some things that have impacted us. But now we want to kind of give everyone an update on where things are at, what's happening right now, and then where we're at going forward. Looking forward from what it is now, nearly the middle of February.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really good thing. I'm keen to know what you've been getting up to. So the way this podcast is kind of shaping up is, it seems that on some episodes, we're getting very topical now. Like, we're talking specifically about one thing that we find important. And in others, we're actually diving deep into our own businesses, the good and the bad, really confessing it all. So today's episode is all about getting back into what's happening inside each other's businesses. So Kim, I'll kick it off with this question to you. How has 2018 been to you? Like, what's the progress since that last check-in we did?
Pretty much January and the start of Feb has been good. We've had a lot of team changes that we kind of talked about at the end of last year. And our team now is, so much easier to go to sleep at night knowing that the team we have is just absolutely rocking it. And, Christy, our general manager, she's commented and said, the phone has rung so much less than last year just in this first period of time. She's like, several times I had to call the company just to make sure that our phone wasn't disconnected, because before, you have clients calling questions about this, and because we really upped our communication levels, we upped our visibility with them and said, we're using a lot more Loom videos to explain and go through and show their results, what's happening, any changes. The need for clients to call us to get updates or to give us feedback or anything like that has dramatically changed. So it's been so good from that one point of view. And then from the second point of view, I think we had our backing up off December being our biggest month. I think January just, I'm not 100% sure yet because there was a few figures we had to change, but I think January just beat, not as much as I wanted it to, but I think we beat December by, I think, like between 2% and 3%, which I'm pretty stoked with as well. So we've had some pretty exciting times. It's been pretty crazy, but always fun.
Wow, man, I tell you what, that is such a great thing to hear. And 2018 massively off to a huge start to you. Is it safe to say that you're having a big year so far? Is that something we could say?
Yeah, definitely a big year so far. It's and considering we've already done one overseas trip and an event in January, it's already a pretty good start to the year.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about the team changes and all the rest, because when we last had an update, we were speaking about your sales team a lot, and then your appointment setter and all the rest. How do we stand on that front?
So on that front, the appointment setter that we have, it's come to light that for her, she has a passion that's outside of what she's doing with us, which is neither here nor there. But it's funny because she's so in love with our team, the way we work and how we all encourage each other, that she wants to stay. But I was having a chat with her literally, I think 2 days ago. And when I was talking to her, I said, look, I love you to be a part of the team, but long term, you don't want to be here. Like, not that you don't want to be working with us, it's that you have these goals and aspirations for yourself. So there's something else for you. So we actually ended up having one of our senior guys. He was not really reaching his targets as best he could. So we actually ended up moving him down to a junior role to operate at a minimum of 90% efficiency. And then once he does that for a month, he'll be stepping back up too. So he's kind of taken a lot of the load off her. And we're looking to bring in another 2 to 3 people for the junior and then our senior roles in the next couple of months. So it's pretty exciting times ahead at the moment.
Dude, that's so awesome. And I think there's a huge lesson in there itself. So one of the things that I think you mentioned so well there is recognizing people who are in the right seat. So personally, I've had this happen as well, where you've hired someone for a particular reason, they've got all the skills and they might even be reasonably good at it, but their future calling and what they want for their life is actually in another spot. So how did you go about handling that? I mean, you're a pretty chilled guy. I can imagine you try and handle it as best you could.
Well, I was just having the conversation, and when she was talking, I was like, what you want to do is not really what we do, right? And because she's like, what is it going forward? What can I do? I was like, this is not really what we do. And I would be lying to you if I said, oh, just stay with us and we'll have something like that for you, because that's not the case. So I was like, what do you want to do? Like, ideally, what does that everything look like for you? What does it feel like? What does your day look like? And it was completely different to what she's doing now. But then it's funny because she started to try and give me an objection. And she's like, oh, I just want to stay with you guys for a while until I figure stuff out. And then I'll do this. And I was like, and, because, I have to work with my partner and blah, blah, blah. I was like, don't try and give me the partner objection to you going and achieving your goals. Like, don't try. I was like, I'm a good salesperson. I'll be able to resell you on your dreams. Don't try and jump out of that. So we just had an open conversation. I was like, look, you can stay. I love you as part of the team, but I know it's not going to serve your best interest long term. So why don't we put in place a plan for you to add a move over to that, and we'll still support you and everything like that. But what we do is not what you want to do. So let's not try and pull the wool over our eyes and go, oh, it'll become like that, because it won't. So let's start helping you now. Focus on moving towards that, and we'll start focusing on you're bringing someone in to take off your role now so that you can go and do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, just think about yourself for a minute. And I know this is that if I'm not doing the thing that I love doing, but my thoughts are on the thing I love doing, there's no way I'm doing the best at the role I want to be doing. So right now, I'm excited about podcasting. I'm loving this experience of podcasting. When we are not podcasting, I'm thinking about podcasting. When I talk to other people, it's in the context of, hey, podcasting. So it's very, for me, it's like in that flow, of course, I'm going to be bringing my best to how we can do the best with podcasting, because that's what my focus is and attention's on. But if by day, let's say we were working on, I don't know, as a bricklayer, just something randomly opposite, but all my thoughts are on podcasting, I'm not really putting any energy into developing myself as a bricklayer, as the example. And that's nothing against bricklayers. It's just showing that context of when someone's got those thoughts pulling them away, they're not really growing in the right areas for development in a role. So I think that's a huge thing to recognize in your staff. And I even recognize this in myself about the crucial element of making sure people are doing what they love and want to be involved in, because they just naturally will go the extra mile. And especially for your team, if when they're not working, if they're thinking about the thing they love doing, it just creates an awesome culture. It creates a great company environment if that's how people are operating.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why we said, look, all right, we're going to start to plan your transition to doing that. Like she already has done it. She does a little bit of the side. So I was like, well, there's no reason. She's like, oh, maybe in about a month's time we'll do something. I was like, no. There's no reason to wait a month. Nothing's going to change in a month. and you're just going to be more focused on it, and you'll probably be further away or be in the exact same position that you are right now. So what's stopping you from starting next week? She's like, oh, I've just got to talk about it with my partner. I was like, cool. I was like, don't give me the partner objection. That's easy. It's simple. You don't have to tell. You don't ask him when you go to the bathroom if you can go and wipe your butt. Like you don't have to ask him for every single thing that you do. So, and it's going to be more beneficial. So let's just get you started next week. And we'll help you. We'll do a call. We'll help you map out your funnels and ads and stuff like that. So yeah, she's all good. So it's exciting times for her ahead, and exciting times for us. We're going to have bringing in someone again into the office, because she was in Melbourne or rural Victoria, and we're obviously in Perth. So it's going to be better for us as well to have someone internally, so we can build our internal sales culture as well.
Great call. Great decision, I think, all around there.
Yeah, so it's good. And then so that's the sales side is absolutely firing up, which is cool. And now, Mr. Charley, what's been happening on your side for the last? Well, obviously, I feel like I semi know, because we've seen each other so often, probably more this year than ever. But what's been happening since we last checked in business wise? Obviously, Lisa was coming in as the as your 2IC and really knocking things out of the park. What's been happening?
Yeah, so and I've ticked off my first goal of the year to hang out and be around Kim Barrett more. I think I've achieved that. As you know, just as a funny side comment, is like, even we mentioned last night on Facebook, is like, even my partner Bianca is now trying to hold me at your standards from dressing and attendance to things. So you've had a big impact on me this year, Kim, is what I'm trying to say.
Love it.
Now, for anyone watching the video, you'll probably notice I'm wearing a black t-shirt. That's my go-to. Like, I really go for the Zuckerberg or the Steve Jobs, is like, I wear a black t-shirt most days to free up my space. But one of Kim's goals was to dress better this year. So every time we've seen Kim out and about, he's looking like baller, like proper suits and shirts and whatnot. So now every time I'm going to leave the house, I'm copping a little bit. Would Kim wear that? And I'm like, oh. So that's what my life has become since spending more time with you. I'm all right with it, because it's holding me to a higher standard. So that's all cool. But I really want to emphasize what it's like getting to know you closer and spending more time with you. That's the side effect. As for Lisa, though, and that's the thing, I suppose the big thing that came out of this is, we go back to the prior episodes, we spoke about December being a huge month. You and me really hammered down in December, and Outsourcing Angel had a massive December and has followed on with a massive January. This year, I'm like, wow, Lynn Bedetti has put in a huge amount of effort at Outsourcing to Angels with the internal processes and team and culture. And I just see it kicking goals over and over again. Like, I've been so impressed with the feedback I've been getting with people, the reviews we've been getting from other people, and it's just all coming together really, really well on that front. I kind of sidetracked there, so I'll go back. Now we'll go to Lisa now. So this is with my squadron, if you will, is that Lisa's really taken her own stride. And this morning, which we're in the middle of February at the time of recording this, but this morning I literally had a big 2-hour meeting with Lisa to talk about, how we think things are progressing and our plans going forward. And it just really hit me that in this way we've got things going, she's contributing on a huge level with the ideas and decision making, which was my goal. So when I'm having conversations with her about, how do we, let's say, grow this podcast or grow our mastermind group, the association, or what we want to achieve, she's been really good at asking deeper questions and analyzing things back so that we can get on the same page. So in most businesses, I feel like the CEO is kind of like, in this case, the CEO is me going, I think we should do this, and everyone do that stuff. Where in this environment, I feel like I've got someone saying, well, hold up a second, why this? And what about if we do it this way? And you've got to have those people around you. And to have that internally with Lisa, who I'm calling my 2IC, but she's just nailing it on whatever you want to call the role, is she's stepping up to be making great decisions. And some of the results she's been getting in campaigns we've been running and ideas have just been great. Like, it's been a really good experience. So overall, thrilled on that front. That has been a big part of my 2018 so far. So that's kind of the bringing things up to here. Yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at.
I love it. That's so cool. And it's love, as I said, I'm loving hearing about Lisa's successes, but then also your plans and how you're molding her, but like what frameworks you put in place to make sure that you both get the best out of each other, because we're going through a similar process too. So it's so exciting to hear, and I love hearing about it. It's so good. And on the second front, I'm going to start, just doing weird things around B, like wearing fedoras and stuff, to see if she encourages Charley to, do something else. Like, B, I'm actually going to go get a neck tattoo next week and see how the influence falls through.
Well, help me out, man. Dress it down.
Boardies and thongs at the next event.
Well, as I said, it's not just dressing, it's also your amount of social activities. Like, you're quite a social guy and you manage to get to all these things. Me, I'm a little bit more introverted than you, and it's like I do enjoy my alone time, and that's when I'm actually most productive. So I'm caught in this battle of wanting to spend more time with people and yet wanting to be alone to get shit done, in all honesty.
No, it's funny because I am exactly the same, but that's why I try and see if I can do both, because I think we talked about this before. I don't know if it was on our first makeshift episodes or one of the actual real ones where we talked about the travel stuff. But it's like, when I travel, it's like I'm on a plane for at least 4 hours, pretty much by myself. Again, using points to upgrade, so you're in business class, you're in your own little cocoon. And then when I go to a hotel, I don't normally stay at the event hotel. I normally stay at a hotel close by, purely because when I stay there, generally everyone else stays at the event hotel. So I do have my own little seclusion. So I get that. And it's different to if I was at home, because at home I would have all the same things. So I actually get the best of both worlds, being I can go and network and mingle, but similar, I'm an introvert. I get more recharge when I'm by myself. I actually have like deeper alone time, if you will, when I'm at events too.
Oh, that is a really good way of doing that. I'm gonna have to take that on board. Do you know what? Now that I think about it, I've noticed that in you a couple of times. Like, you, even when I asked you where you were staying for another event that's coming up, it wasn't at the place where the event was, and I'm like, oh, sneaky. So that's how the Kim Barrett gets his recharge. That's really cool, dude. So I'll kick into the next one. So we talked a little bit about the year so far. Tell me what you're working on at the moment. What's important to you in your world?
Well, at the moment, the biggest thing is we've been outsourcing a lot of our tasks. So I've been going through and working on my processes, my systems. Like, I even have a system to get, tea delivered to me while I'm doing a podcast. It just works so efficiently. Mr. Chris Benetti snuck in and dropped me a lemongrass ginger tea. It's part of my system process. I'll record a Loom video on that later for everyone. You got
to keep the throat hydrated.
Yeah, exactly. You got to keep the throat lubricated, man. You can't speak otherwise. But so it's been a lot of that, like process automation, things like that. And I was just saying this morning, I had an interview with 2 virtual assistants from Outsourcing Angels as well. So that's the big focus, is getting all of my stuff that I do every day pretty much off my plate, so I can hit my goal of 30 June being hands-free. So it's been very exciting times, and I think I found like the question, because I always like to do like movie references and quotes and have like fun and jokes when I work with anyone. So like my big questions are always like, what's your favorite movie? And so one of the and it kind of, I was like, when the first one answered, I was like, oh, this is going to be so hard to beat, because the second one I asked her, and then she's like, it was The Notebook, because of how like much love and stuff like that's in the story and whatnot. And the first one, she's like, well, I have 3, and it was like Eat, Pray, Love. I can't remember the other one, and then it was Wolf of Wall Street. And I was like, you've got it. You if you say that's your favorite movie. And she's like, not because of all the bad stuff, but because of like the stuff that like how they work through it, and like just the reasoning for why it was the favorite one. I was just like, oh, this is great. I love it. So good.
Well, that actually brings up an interesting topic. You can learn a lot about someone by what their favorite movie is or what stories they do. I think it's actually a really good interviewing question. So just to recap on that, Kim's had a interview to look at getting a virtual assistant or a couple of virtual assistants. And the question he's asked is what their favorite movie is. And I think that is such a good one to add in. So if you're someone that is looking to hire someone either locally or overseas or outsourced or whatever it is, it's such a character defining thing. So I'll even dive a little bit more into this. Everyone on my team likes Star Wars.
So anyone that wants to get a job with Charley in the future, watch all the Star Wars so you can do it. But I think it's good, like when you have similar interests, similar things that everyone likes, then it just makes things so smooth. But then as well, you build your own little like internal jokes and references and stuff like that, you know. And even like the same, we had the sales meeting this morning, and we're having a joke about Boiler Room and Wolf of Wall Street when we're talking about stuff. But it's like, if you didn't watch any of those, or that didn't interest you, it would have gone way over your head and sounded ridiculously inappropriate. But because we all like quoting the movie, you know, it was a lot better.
It's almost like a sign of culture fit, if you will. You could use it as a culture indicator or something. So very well placed. I think there's a really good kind of little hidden gem in that context there. So that's exciting, dude. So new VA on the horizon, and we're aiming to have you out of everything in your business by, what was that date again?
30th of June 2018.
Dude, I reckon we're on track. From what I've seen in your progress and how much you've been putting into this, I actually suspect this is very, very achievable for you.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty excited. So we're getting right down there now to getting the last few things, and everyone in the office, they're like, it's funny, we're talking about this morning, like, what are you gonna do all day? And I was like, guys, Charlie told me we talk about that once I'm at that point. That's not a problem yet. We achieve that when we get there. We'll figure that out when we get there. So and it was funny, we're also a mutual friend of ours, Barry, as well. I caught up with him the other day, and he said that's his goal too. So he's like, we're going to have to hold each other accountable to both be able to hit it. So now that I have someone else doing the same thing, I pretty much have to. I can't avoid it now. Can't turn up to Barry and say, and he'll be like, I'm Kim, look, no hands, and I'll be like, damn it.
I tell you what, user both. A big shout out to Barry from the Game Changers. He's an absolute legend. I'm a big fan of Barry. He's one of the good humans in this world. Such a good heart. So if you ever get a chance to meet Barry or check out the Game Changers, I highly encourage you to do it. But I tell you what, the race is on. I actually reckon, I don't mean to like put one down on the Kim Barrett, but I think he might beat you at this. He is very driven.
He is, but that's the whole thing. Say, I've got it. As long as I do it by then, he may do it first, but I still hit my goal. You know, it's as long as I hit my goal, I don't, you know, then that's fine. If I don't hit my goal, I will be super pissed. But as long as I actually hit it, then I'm all good.
Well, it's funny. I'm wondering if this is how I'm affecting people, or if it's just a natural chain of events. We'll see how big my ego is. But
it's all you, Charlie. It's 100% all you.
I actually feel like I've been able to have a bit of an influence on people to really want to do this. Like, to have a business that works without them is like, the more I've been able to highlight that to people and connecting with amazing individuals, the more of them I kind of see starting to do the same. And that's you, that's Barry, that's a few others that I won't necessarily name for privacy reasons, but a lot of people are starting to have more conversations with me about, right, how do I do this? How do I create a business that works without me? And honestly, I'm actually massively like humbled to feel that is in effect I could be having on people.
Well, one of the big reasons, I've spoken to a few people that are also now wanting to do that, is that maybe before they've seen one person that's done it. And I think for a lot of people, you're the confirmation, as in saying that they've met someone and they don't work in their business, and they go, oh, that's cool for that person. And then they meet you, and then they go, oh, it's not just one person. It's not just a unicorn that this is possible. Like, it is possible to do. And I think that's definitely what I think you bring out in people. And I know I spoke to a lot, and they said, oh yeah, this person, they did it before. That's only them. And then I met Charlie, and he's doing it, and you know, he's built courses around it and stuff. And they're like, oh, like it is possible now. So I think that's definitely, especially because you put the framework in place behind it, then they go, oh wow, it is definitely 100% possible.
It kind of reminds me of like the 4-minute mile thing about, you know, they literally thought it was impossible to run a 4-minute mile until someone did it. And then all of a sudden a ton of people did it. So maybe this is the, the domino that will trigger everyone to kind of have that. And just for context, I think that's what should be the goal of every business owner. Like, I think it's getting missed in society just how important it is to have a business that works without you. That's what you signed up for. That's why you take on all the risk and hard work in the beginning, is for the payday. Not enough people are getting the payday.
Yeah, no, 100%. But tell me what's happening at the moment for you. I've heard a few inklings of things, but currently, what's happening? What's on the drawing board?
Yeah, so there's a few things in my world at the moment that I'm working on. So the number one I've started because I've been a bit excited about is I'm actually building another course. So the first course I built was my Build a Business That Works Without You, which I'm incredibly proud of. The second one, which I'm digging into now, is about joint ventures. Now, something I've noticed when I speak to a lot of business owners is just the huge lack of joint ventures. They just don't do them. And it's been something that's so hugely influential on my business and made such an impact on how all of them have worked. And I mean, even this podcast is a joint venture. Like that's how much I use them in everything. The Mastermind group you and me run, Kim, the association is a joint venture. Outsourcing Angel is the company that I do with Lynn that started as a joint venture. Like it's been, there's been nothing that's had a bigger impact on it. But when I speak to most people, they just don't do it. So I did a little bit of digging. And I've spoken to some people. I'm like, well, why aren't you doing more joint ventures? And a lot of things come up that I go, okay. And I've been taking all these notes and listening to why people aren't doing them and the mindsets and all those things. And I've put that into the starting point of a program that would help people kind of address that and bring them in for the ability to execute very, very successful joint ventures in their business. So that's what I'm working on at the moment and I'm very excited about. And as a side product of that, we're actually doing something very, very cool today in about 90 minutes. Oh, not even, like 30 minutes. Oh, wow.
Yeah, 28.
Damn. So today, we're actually running our first joint venture group call in the association mastermind group. So do you want to give the spiel? Or
I'll let you, man. This is your zone of genius right here.
Well, this is what I'm really excited about. So one of the things that came up when I said, like, why aren't you doing more joint ventures is I don't know how to find people or approach people that will want to do joint ventures. And I'm like, well, do you know what's funny? Everyone I speak to wants to do joint ventures and they say something similar. So this was the birthplace of the idea. And then I'll talk about another experience shortly. But the idea of this call is we're literally going to bring all the people that are in the association together that want to do joint ventures or learn more about joint ventures. And then on the call as a group, we're going to work together and talk through some deals, break down some ideas, and hopefully which we might have to report on the success of, and that would be really cool to give to other people so they can, 4-minute mile this, see that it's possible. Go to the idea of putting together some real deals and grow some businesses through working together and putting joint venture deals in place.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Like I can't wait to do the call because it is so needed for a lot of people. And I think it's going to be very, very exciting to report back. And yeah, maybe even one thing we can do is keep a bit of a tally, especially in the association, and go how much gets generated through JVs, and we'll report back on the podcast and see the actual tangible differences that it makes to people's businesses.
Dude, that's actually a great idea. I wish I thought of that. We should have thought of that before the podcast, but I'm glad it's come up here because I completely agree. We should be keeping track of that. And much like the 4-minute mile experience, which we've referenced a few times, is maybe that'll be the point of inspiration to go, look, I want to be a part of that. I need to start doing joint ventures because that is an effective way to grow a business, stabilize a business, and take a lot of the volatility out of doing things.
Yeah, so good. And it just alleviates your reliance on one thing like just ads or just going to networking and stuff like that. When you do that and you get a few good ones in place, then it can change the game dramatically.
Well, now we're going to do a whole podcast episode on joint ventures at some point, but I want to break down a few on that call because I actually think ads and joint ventures are like a perfect match. If you do a joint ventures and then you run ads on that as well, in some situations, that could be just like throwing petrol on a fire. That can make a joint venture actually explode. So it's a really cool way to think about it. But that's what's happening in my world. And obviously very, very excited about this call for this afternoon. I think the members are pretty excited as well. Been getting lots of reach out. But got another question I want to throw at you here. What are you looking at down the road from here? Like, what is the future kind of things you're planning or hoping to get up to from here?
Well, as we said, we've got the the virtual assistant for me coming on board soon is definitely a high priority. And then I have the growing the sales team. So at the moment we really have one senior person, if you will, who does the actual like the finalization, the closing of the sales. So I need to get that at least doubled, if not tripled, to 2 or 3 people before June, just depending on the ability to find great people to come through. And and then the other stuff that's on my plate is that I have so much travel coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see how the team works and the dynamics with all the new things we have in place while I'm not here. So literally tonight, I thought it was actually tomorrow night, but tonight at midnight or tomorrow morning, 1 a.m., fly from here to KL, KL to Amman, Amman to Paris for 2 days, Paris to Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka to KL, KL to Sydney to see Charley in like the space of 10 days. So it's got a lot coming up. And then March is not any lighter on. We've got Orlando and so much stuff coming up, and back to Canada and for the rest of this like half the year, if you will. So it's just really seeing what holes there are that I normally plug, and then letting the team ascertain and work out how they can plug them, so that then the second half of the year, hands free.
Dude, I tell you what, it just highlights to me like inevitably something will break. And I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but something will come up. But that's going to be the exact thing that tells you what your team needs to operate without you. So it's almost like this hidden blessing, although it's never fun at the time.
No, at the time you cry, but afterwards you laugh and smile. So yeah, it's exciting.
Well, dude, that's awesome. And I'm sure we're going to get another update. We'll do another updates episode soon, but I tell you what, you can have all that travel, man. That is all yours.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, it's so great. And I'm like, no. Like and as well, I foolishly didn't give, and like we talked about at the start of the year, like setting our expectations of like what we would tolerate and what we actually want and going for that. It's like, I didn't tell them like with the flights, what type of flights. Like, cool, we're paying for flights. Great. And then I didn't even think about, and then they've got me I got to stop in KL and Oman before I get to Paris, when really I should only need to have one stop off, maybe in like Doha or Qatar or somewhere, same place, Doha or Saudi Arabia on the way through. So I'm like, I foolishly did not give good enough instructions of what I expect, because I have this extra 2 layovers that it's gonna be interesting how I pull up tomorrow night when I land in Paris.
Yeah, good luck with that. So you've got jet lag to deal with and multiple stopovers.
So I feel like jet lag, I've already have my plan in place. As you know, I have the time zone plan, so that's all. I'm all G there. That's not a problem. Jet lag, I don't believe in. So it's just going to be the stopovers, just literally just the soreness and tiredness of when you jump off, and it's like but again, I'm using my hack of hopefully at the counters, I'll be upgrading at the counters, not paying full upgrade fares. But when I go to the counter, I'll be asking them for upgrades, hopefully slip in, $500 and get at least a business class seat. So I'll be flat, or at least very reclined, so that I can not too much pain in the back or anything like that.
Now, I might be a bit of a weirdo, but I would absolutely love if they had gyms at the airports. Like for stopovers, I just think to move, that's the killer. There's not enough moving in flights. Like that would really help me with flying. So one day I'll put it down the bucket list. I'm sure all the big executives from Virgin and Qantas and all the rest are listening right now to this show. So take that on board, guys. We'd like that at your airports. Yeah,
at least a stationary bike. I mean, come on. That should be easy enough, right?
Awesome.
Now, what about you, Sir Charles? What's coming up? What are the things on the plate and agenda? Obviously, you've got the course that you're working on that will be released upcoming, but what else is on the agenda?
Yeah, on the agenda, there's a few things kind of happening. So for me, at the moment, something I'm working heavily on is nailing how we do the association. So our mastermind group that we're running, I really want to up the game there. So today being one of the first things with the joint venture calls, and then coming out with a joint venture course soon is also really important to me. But I'm all about the community. I just think that when it comes to running masterminds and putting together joint ventures, there's kind of this like critical mass of fun. And I had this kind of revelation where I said, once the association hits 100 members, which will be a very exciting time, is really between that 100 people and who that 100 people know. The amount of people we have access to should be able to create some truly like massive things. So that's got me a little bit excited at the moment. So I'm on the cards, or I should say on the run, or head down focus on thinking about how to make the association as awesome as possible and putting a lot of energy into that.
Let me ask you the question then, and I feel like we should share it here. What are we going to do to celebrate when we hit 100 members? What's going to be our celebration?
Oh, I tell you what, I might have to get back to you on that one, but I think we should do something special. We should really like celebrate this. Now, since you like travel so much, maybe we'll include that in there.
Well, it is. I'll probably be flying at the time it happens anyway. So, just divert the plane and we'll go pick up Charley.
No, but I think that's a really important point you've highlighted as well, is celebrating the wins. It's one thing to set targets in business or in life and all the rest. And I thoroughly enjoy chasing goals. I really do. Like, I love it. But when you do get it, it's important to acknowledge that. So for anything I go after, that's something I probably need to get a little bit better at. That's something I need to acknowledge and go, right, well, when we get this, what are we going to do? Like, should we be night at the casino? Like, is that where we need to take this?
Well, I don't know if you can. If we have the luck of that you've had recently, previously, then maybe we'll have to do that.
Now, I still keep my lucky blackjack coin on my desk here. So for anyone watching the video, you'll see I'm holding up a Crown Casino chip. To be updated. We'll talk about that later. But I've had a few good runs at the casino lately. I do enjoy going in there and having a bit of fun now.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. We'll put that on the cards, asterisks for next podcast for Charley to tell us to discuss how we're going to celebrate this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I tell you what, Kim, we're going to wrap this one up. This is the end of the update episode. Now, next time you hear from us and we do another update, we'll come back to these points from here. Got a couple of cool episodes coming out down the road as well. So I want to announce this. I want to let the listeners know and give them as well. We're actually doing our first episode with some guests. So we're bringing some very special people on to the podcast to have them come and confess their sins. So be on the lookout for the introduction of some very cool people. We've got some awesome guests lined up, and they're going to come in and confess their sins and biggest mistakes and how they got through them all.
Can't wait.
All right, so that's it. Thanks for listening to the show, guys. Please make sure you subscribe and share it with your friends. Also, if you are interested in coming and being a part of the association, I'll make sure there's some links under this. Come and check it out. It's a mastermind group, very, very focused on joint ventures, where you get to come and hang out with me and Kim.
Yep, get amongst it, guys. See you next time.
And out.